All right, let's see if I can show you guys kind of where we're at. Seems like I already have other plans. Is the top vote getter. Who's got other stuff that they use? I see Jen. I didn't see what exactly Jen said. I wouldn't make an excuse to get out of the plans. If I can't make the plans, it's because I'm actually not well, so I didn't vote. Right. Anybody have something that they like to use that wasn't on the list? Frankie.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. I don't want to go. I'm not going.
Yeah, I don't want to go. All right. Anybody else want to share? Martin.
I just really don't like you.
All right. We'll just go with the blunt route. In all seriousness, the reason why I wanted to cover this topic today is I think just like we work hard on our objection handling and our scripts with regards to the real estate business, I really think we need a script for saying no more often. And not just necessarily for plans, but for commitments. I think when you get into this industry, you tend to be somebody who is a people pleaser, a driver, a type A, and it's hard for us to say no, right? And so I think if we were equipped with some more options, it might make it just a little bit easier, especially if we could start to practice those options, know what they are, feel comfortable with different options. One of the books I'm right in the middle of is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And Greg's idea behind his essentialism movement, he's got a podcast and a blog and all of that, is really trying to limit yourself to the things that are essential. He's got a pretty cool diagram. It's a circle with a bunch of arrows coming out of it, which is your typical driver, people pleaser. So we've got energy going in every single direction coming off of our body. And then his vision for where he would like you to get is a circle with one line and an arrow, your North Star. And really getting laser focused on what is your North Star? What are the things that are your priorities? So when non-priority items come up, we know how to handle them. So I thought, today, if we spent a little bit of time going through some of the things that he throws out there as effective ways to give a no, and I'll share it in the chat later. But some of these you can use on a regular. Some of them are going to be for specific instances. Some of them you may never use or not feel comfortable using. But I thought I'd just throw it out there because I think we need to say no more for sure. In order to know what to say no to, though, we definitely have to spend some time to understand what our priorities are. If we haven't taken the time to figure out what the North Star, what are our priorities, then we're scrambling when we've got to make a decision. We don't have anything to make that decision by. But let's just share some of the his effective ways to say no. The first one was the graceful no. I'd love to, but I'm fully committed right now. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'll have to pass this time. Which is pretty simple one. The soft no, or the no but. So this is where you could offer up maybe another time, right? So no, I can't attend the full meeting, but I'd be happy to look over the notes and offer feedback afterwards if it's a work type of a thing. I can't take on this project, but I can recommend someone who might be a great fit. I can't do it this term, but put me down for next term. Delaying your response, sometimes just buying a little bit of time. So let me check my calendar and get back to you. So you don't feel like you've got to make a decision right in that instant. I need to think about this. Can I give you an answer later? Set boundaries early. So being upfront about your capacity can prevent future pressure to say yes. I'm focused on a few key priorities this month, so I won't be able to take on any new commitments. I only have availability for urgent matters right now. Use a clear and direct no. I'm going to have to decline this time. No, thank you. I won't be able to participate. Ask for prioritization. This again is probably more work, or if you're, volunteering or involved in a board or a charity or something like that. I'm happy to help, but which of my current projects should I deprioritize to make room for this? All of our leaders on the call should write that one down and use it when I'm asking you to do something that we're already straight out. But I think that was a good one, right? I definitely think sometimes I know I'll ask for stuff to be done, and it really should be followed by, and show me the list of other things that you're working on, and let's prioritize it. This needs to take priority. I understand I had asked you to do something else. We can move that down the list. Just be honest and authentic. I wish I could help, but I'm at capacity and won't be able to give this the full amount of attention that it deserves. You can try humor. I'd love to, but unless I figure out how to clone myself, I'm out of bandwidth right now. Protecting your time. So sometimes framing your no around preserving your effectiveness or well-being can work. In order to be effective in my current commitments, I'm going to have to say no to this. And then referring to larger goals. I'm focusing on X right now, so I can't take on any additional tasks at this moment. So that's the list. Hopefully there's a couple of things in there that you guys can take away and jot down. Like I said, I'll share the full list, and would love to just hear some feedback. Does some of those things maybe resonate a little bit better? Could it be a little bit sharper than what you might be going to right now? Amber.
I was just going to say I find it very helpful. I struggle with saying no a lot, so this is definitely very helpful. And I also love to be honest. I don't like to lie or tell even little white lies if I don't have to. So this is a good way to say no and still being able to verbalize why you're saying no without feeling like you're being dishonest.
Yeah, I love it. Right, and just see what feels natural. Take these scripts, internalize them. And like I said, there could be certain situations where you use one, another situation where you use another. But I think we definitely got to get more comfortable with this. KB.
Yeah, I love some of these. I think that they're a really good way for someone who has a hard time saying no. But I think the problem that I have is a little different. I don't know how you would apply these to I think it's more of internally I need to figure out what my limit is, because I don't have a problem saying no when I know I can't do it. The problem that I have is I feel like I can take on everything. And then I don't realize that I took on too much until I'm already in the drowning phase. You know what I mean? So it's like, I will say no if I realize I'm in the drowning phase, but until I get there, I just keep saying yes. And I don't know how to stop doing that.
Yeah. So Greg talks about this in this book, and I really think you should take a look at it. You can get it on audiobooks. But really what it comes down to is the prioritization, right? We are definitely, when you're built like us, we're taking on way too much. Like if you're kind of going back in evolution, the amount of stuff that we typically would have accomplished in a day back in the day is light years behind what we're trying to accomplish today. And what's happening is you're not given the full priority or the full attention. So what you probably would list as your most important things: your family, your health, whether that's your physical health, your mental health, your downtime, right? So yeah, if you say, hey, look, these are my priorities and these are the non-negotiables, it makes it a lot easier to go, hey, these things I know take up 4 hours of my day. I'm going to start my day with this. I'm going to end my day with this. So now I've only got, right? So feel like you're drowning sooner by saying, hey, these are just things that I'm not willing to negotiate with. So that's kind of his approach to, if you're already kind of drowning, is going, okay, what am I drowning with? Which of these aren't my priorities, right? And so eliminate those things and then start to build out the new priority list so that now when the next thing comes along, you really know if you have time in it in your day or not. So I hope that helps a little bit, but definitely check out his book. Really, really good. It's just simple essentialism.
I'll read it.
Yeah. I love this. I've been down, a little bit of a path of minimalism and stopping to consume less. But this kind of, for me, is just wrapping it all together, of just figuring out what are the essential things that are going to make me happy, and making sure that those things are prioritized. Keely.
Good morning. No, I love those suggestions. I was just going to say, I always struggled with that for years and years. And then finally, now I just say, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I'm not able to, accommodate you at this time, or I'm not available at this time, or, I always say, thank you for thinking of me. I preface it with that. It seems to work.
Yep, that's a good one. Who else has got some thoughts around this? Jen.
So if it's a big commitment, I usually now will talk to John and sometimes the kids, depending on what it is, because it's going to affect them if I'm not with them. Because I've done that before and I was drowning and I feel like I just missed a lot and it's not fair to them and I didn't even like it. It was too much for everybody. So yeah, so now I'm just kind of taking my time to, explore it and ask the people in my family, what they think.
Yeah, and look, this is a great point, and this is probably the biggest thing that you need to do when you get into this industry, because we've talked about it here before. When you get in, this is a major commitment if you want to be successful at this. And I think it's one of the things, and KB, I don't know if you're doing this at onboarding now, that like you need to be having a conversation with the other people that could be affected in your life, because it's major. If you want to be successful, I mean, you want to dabble and do a couple of deals, you can dabble. If you want this to be your career, first year or two are going to be a nightmare for those around you. If you really want to go in and go in hard, it's going to be very difficult to kind of just, do a 40-hour work week, right? It's extremely difficult to break in and get yourself going on 40 hours a week. So it's a critical conversation to go with your significant other, to go with, family members, to go with even friends. Hey, you play poker on Friday nights. Maybe you're not playing poker on Friday nights for the next year. Hey guys, like I'm making a career change. I got to be focused on this. I'm going to have to take a pass on Fridays for a year. I'll be back in a year. This is my priority now. But it will affect those around you. So it's a great point, Jen. Because this career is probably the biggest decision when it comes to taking away from your friends and family. Margareta.
Good morning, all. I'm curious. Did you ever talk about how I feel sometimes that the more tasks we have, we feel like more important about ourselves. It's almost like we value. It's your value system a bit, where like, well, if I have so much to do, I'm important or I'm valuable. It's a bit of a self-confidence issue. Is that ever considered in this book, or how we address that?
Yeah, 100%. Right? Getting stuff done, right? When you check that thing off the list, what do you get? You get that dopamine hit, right? And so our identities becomes the person that gets stuff done. The problem is it's that, and I really want to.
Can't hear you.
I'm trying to, I want to pull up this graphic because I really think it brings it home. Come on. You're really not going to give me that graphic. You got to be kidding me.
It's just in my experience, I feel sometimes when I do have just 2 or 3 tasks, which has been my focus in a day or something, I'm like, well, is that enough? Is that good enough?
Right. So this is it, right? This is you doing all those tasks, right? You guys see the screen?
Yep, we see it.
Yeah. I mean, for most of us, I think we're the circle on the left. The energy is going out in a million different directions. We're getting stuff done. We're not just sitting around doing nothing. But we need to kind of get it more focused into things that are going to make us happy, that really are our priorities. You know, we say our family is our priority. How much time are you spending with your family? You say your relationships are a priority, but what do? They take a back burner to your careers a lot of times, which is okay. If that's the the focus right now, if that's the North Star right now, I got to get this career started. Okay. So now the focus is get the career started. So, hey, I'm asking you, my friends and family, can you give me 12 months to do this? And here's why. And here's what I promise afterwards. Now the arrow is going to go in this direction. Jen.
I was just going to say, if it's not, it sounded originally like we were talking about many different things, not necessarily just the career. So I was thinking about many different things. And if we're asked to do something and we know, I guess my hesitation sometimes is how long is it going to take? If I have other things that I have to do, and even if I don't, and it just means I just wanted to take that day to clean my house or something, I would never be able to end it because I wouldn't want to hurt someone's feelings. So I feel like sometimes putting something that you want to do but want a time limit on maybe before you actually have a scheduled appointment, because I just wouldn't be able to make one up. So then at least you can participate in whatever it is if you feel that that's something you should do, but just want to limit the time.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you the data, I don't know if it was in Greg's book or I just finished another one called the Navalmanac by it's Naval, like it's an Indian last name, Naval. Anybody know this guy? He's got a pretty cool blog that he does, but the Navalmanac, he talks about time, what's the word I'm looking for? Time estimates by humans. We're typically off by 50%, right? Our estimate on how long it's going to take us to do something is typically half of how long it's really going to take. Even though we know it's going to take longer, we tend to only give ourselves, when we're scheduling it out, half the time. So if you're going, like you're saying, Jeff, you're going to look at how long is this going to take, double the time you think it's going to take. That's what the data says is how long it's going to take you. Who else has something around this topic? All right, well, let's switch it over to real estate. Who's got a share for the group today? Patricia.
Good morning. Just a question, see if anybody have been through this. Listing price and offer was 400. I talked about this last time. Appraisal came at 350. So the seller requested another appraisal. Same bank did it again. Came at 350 again. Seller said he wouldn't take it. So I brought the client to Semper. Last night, we just got the appraisal back at 400. So now my buyer is saying, like, he doesn't want to pay the 400. He thinks it's too much. So it just happened. I didn't talk to anybody, so I just want an idea. Is there a way to negotiate that? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's negotiable. I think, did you have something, KB?
Sorry, now I half heard what she asked. It kind of sounded like she doesn't have to come up to the appraised value. That is that what she's asking?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, Trisha, you don't have to come up to the appraised value. If your contract price is under appraised value, the only time you're going to negotiate really is when it comes in under. The seller doesn't even need to know that it appraised at 400. It belongs to the buyer. So
I
I
think
would,
the only thing I think though is what is the contract price on this, Patricia?
400.
Yeah, see, it's contracted at
oh,
400.
it's
So
contracted.
I guess I think a conversation should have been had prior to going to Semper, right? The reason we're going to Semper is to try and see if we can get this to appraise for 400. So the client needs to understand if we go over here and it appraises for 400, you want to move forward at 400, right? So did that conversation not happen, or it did happen and now they're just changing their mind?
It did not happen, and I think my buyer was even I was surprised that came at 400 because I didn't know that. It's the first time that happens to me. A huge gap like that, between two appraisals, 50,000. Like it surprised me that came at 400.
Yep. I mean, what was the conversation with when you brought it to Semper, right? Because so part of what Semper's looking to do is keep deals together. So if you're going to them and saying, "Hey, look, here's the issue. It didn't appraise. We need this to appraise." There might be a little something that they can do to try and see if they can get it to appraise, right? And so their goal is to keep the deal together. If we're bringing it to them and saying, "Hey, this is the issue with the deal. Can you help us get to the finish line?" They're going to do everything they can to help you to get that property to appraise. Amber, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just went through this. So I took a listing and the sellers wanted to list at 500. The comps were not comping anywhere near that. I suggested getting a pre-listing appraisal, and it appraised where I thought it would at 425. Fast forward, we get 3 offers. One of them had an appraisal gap, so it didn't really matter. They were the highest number to begin with. And they had an appraisal gap. They were VA, but which we were a little bit nervous about, but they came in at 475 with a escalation up to 500 and a $10,000 appraisal. We just got the appraisal back, 475. So it doesn't matter. Every appraiser is different. Every appraiser looks at different things. I don't know. I was shocked that it came back. I'm excited for my sellers, but again, it's something that happens quite frequently.
Amber, I just want to back it up a little bit. You're going to take a listing. They want 500. You got them to agree that, "Hey, look, we're going to do an independent appraisal. If it comes in at my number, the 425, then you guys are okay listing at 425. Is that how that conversation went? And if it comes in at your number, 500, we'll list at 500.
What I told I showed them all the data. They
Yep.
had an old appraisal from like 2 years ago when they were like doing a refinance that came in at 450. I said, market has changed. We ended up listing at 439.9. And I said, and we talked about the fact that, listen, they wanted to go higher than 425. That's fine. I'd rather come in a little bit lower, but 439 didn't scare me. I didn't feel comfortable listing at 475 because I wanted more eyes on the property. And I think if we did, we would not have had as many people or the 3 offers. They were moving regardless, but they were hoping to get as much money as possible. So they knew that if, we listed at a certain number, and even if we got, and I talked them through the whole process, listen, if the appraisal doesn't come in at this 475, the good thing is we had that $10,000 appraisal gap. But even before then, I was just like, if this is the case and you have to move and, you got to, then we got to take what we get.
What the
And
market
for some
bears.
reason,
Yep.
this appraisal did come in. So hallelujah for them. But it doesn't always work doesn't
Yeah.
always work that way.
So Patricia, back to your situation. Did you say you had 2 appraisals prior to Semper? Was there two others?
Like at the same bank, they
Oh,
like
they did too.
they reviewed it. Yeah.
Okay. So, and they sent a second appraiser out and it came in at the, what is it, the 350 again?
Yes.
Second appraiser, or just the first appraiser did a review and said, I'm sticking at 350?
A review.
Okay, so one appraiser, and so we've only really had two appraisers go out to the property. Second appraiser is from Semper.
Correct.
Okay. And has the Semper appraisal gone into does the listing side aware that it appraised at this point?
I'm sorry?
Does the listing side know that the appraisal came in at value from Semper?
Not yet.
Okay. My initial thought here is that your buyers, at this point could still back out based on the first appraisal. It's interesting. I don't know what would happen if you tried to back out, knowing that they could get the financing through the second bank. Because I think the sellers could make an argument that you can get the financing, right? You have not been denied the loan, so you can't get your deposit back. I don't know if anybody's been in this situation. It's a pretty unique one. My suggestion would be I would tell the listing side, hey, if you can't get this buyer to move forward, I would just tell the listing side, hey, look, that it didn't appraise, we can't get the financing, and we're going to be backing out. But moving forward, the conversation should have been had, hey, look, we're going to try a separate bank here. Just want to make sure if this appraises, you want to move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lauren?
If you are backing out for financing, they are going to want a denial letter from that first company, though. We can't just tell them that.
Yeah, which you should be able to get, right? It didn't appraise. Here's a denial letter, and they're backing out.
Don't you think the seller would meet us halfway? That's what I wanted to try.
Yeah, I mean, does the listing agent even know that you're trying to go with another bank?
They do.
Okay. So I guess I would have the conversation, just say, hey, look, my people are really concerned about the value at this point. The first bank's telling them 350. They reviewed it. They're still saying 350. Even if this next comes in at 400, they're concerned about the value. Would you guys be willing to agree to 375 moving forward here and see what they say?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if they know that they're going to another bank and the appraiser was there, they're probably aware that the appraisal happened. So I don't know. I guess my question would also, since there was a second appraisal, is when's the mortgage commitment deadline? And I guess if they wanted to get out of it, they could say something else other than appraisal. They decide they want to go with their original bank because of the rate or something like that. They don't want to move forward with this other one, if that became an issue. Yeah, and I guess the other thing too is, why do they not want to move forward at that price? Do they see the 350 and just get excited about the 350? Because I think that if you can actually find comps or something, which it sounds like it may be a little tough, but if you can, then it's worth it. But if they offer the 400, I guess what changed? Did they just not have the desire to move forward?
I think the change was that somebody told them it's worth 350.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, lesson learned here. Next time, hey, look, we can try another bank, but it's definitely possible that this new appraiser is going to say 400, or we're good at 400, right? Because if it appraises at 400, we might not be able to back out at that point.
Okay.
So, given the situation that you're in, I think I would be having a conversation with the listing agent to say, they're getting really concerned about the price, and are your people willing to do it for less? Yeah, and I'm assuming you're you're aware of your mortgage commitment date. We're still within our time frame. You haven't let that pass, correct?
No, that was extended.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts or feedback for Patricia in this scenario? Lauren, is your hand still up, or did you have lagging, or did you have
It
something?
was still up, sorry.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts? This is a tricky one. Margareta.
From what I'm learning about appraisals, it's very rare that this happens. I mean, I know it does happen, but it seems like this other appraiser that got at 400, there's something wrong. Like it doesn't, I mean, they should be all pretty close. So I'm just questioning almost validity of it.
Yeah,
It
I would
just
disagree with
doesn't make
I would
sense.
disagree with that, Margareta. I'm more in Amber's boat. I've seen appraisers just be all over the place. So I especially the market's kind of it's been all over the place. So yeah, I mean, look, Patricia, I'd get a hold of the appraisal, right, and kind of go through the comps that they used. Maybe just going through those comps would get the buyers a little bit more comfortable with the first guy missed the value, right? And did you put together any comps when you guys decided to offer 400? I'm assuming you must have looked at something. You didn't just say, oh, well, they're asking 400, so let's offer 400. I'm assuming we looked at some properties, kind of did a little market analysis for them. Hey, here's a couple others that have sold. Looks pretty comparable. You guys comfortable with this number? Right? So maybe taking a look at what comps did the appraiser at the 400 use.
I'll do that today. I'm just waiting for to get it. We don't even have it yet, you know.
Yeah.
It was just last night. Yeah.
Yeah. So they might see those and go, shoot, this is worth the 400. And maybe the first person was just off.
All right.
Anybody else? Yep. Anybody else with any thoughts? Linda.
So my thought is I think the goal is to try to get them back to the point of when they fell in love with the house in the first place. Right. If there's any possibility that they could go back over to the house, that you can talk about the things that they loved about the home to sort of reignite their enthusiasm, because they've gotten away from the love of it and gotten into this whole thing about the money. So now their focus has been taken off the big picture of them, planning their life in this beautiful home, all the reasons that they felt that it was worth $400,000. And now it's just all about dollar signs. So their brain has shut off from that heart connection, and it's gone from the heart to the head. So if there's any way that you could redirect it back to the heart and circle back about, okay, let's talk about all of the reasons why you fell in love with this home. And I don't know if there would be any way, if the sellers would allow you guys to go back in. Maybe you could just tell the listing agent, that they'd like to bring their family to take a peek at it, or I don't know, go there for measurements. I don't know, some reason why they could go back in, and then just really let them kind of fall in love with it again. Maybe that would help.
Yeah,
but they've gotten
it's great.
disconnected from that part of the why. And they've just now they've gotten on this oh, we're being ripped off or something.
Yeah, it's good advice, Linda. It's good advice, and Patricia, you should definitely factor that in. And I think it'd be simply, hey, look, they're concerned about the value, right? They've got it stuck that it's in their head that the first person said it's worth 350. They want to come over and take another look at it. There's a lot of things they love about this house, and even though that first person was willing to or put it at 350, they're willing to pay a little bit more, obviously we need to know what they're willing to pay. Is that number 360, 375, 380? What are they willing to go to?
380.
380, yeah. So, yeah, and a lot of it's going to come down to the leverage, Patricia, right? Like, was this a hot property? Were there other offers? Do they believe they can put it right back on the market and get 400 for it?
I don't
Right?
think So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, guys. Great call today. Appreciate Patricia. This was a great one to bring to the table. Really great share. I hope the situation works out for you. I think a lot of people learned a lot from kind of walking through this. So go crush your Fridays. Have a great weekend, and we'll get back after it on Monday morning. Take care, guys.